What's up? How you doing, Ray of Sunshines? I am your girl, Talisa Rae, and welcome to part 3 of my marriage, the vows, till death do us part. This one is going to be a little rough, so go ahead and get your tissues. So we talked about for richer or for poorer, and then we talked about in sickness and in health. This is the harder of the 3. Let's talk about till death do us part. Ooh, I don't know how we're going to do makeup, because this is the one that may cause me to be a little bit more emotional than the other 2. So just for a recap, for those of you who are just joining us, I met my husband in June 2011. He moved in with me September 2011, asked me to marry him in December of the same year. We got married in July 2012. We had already started having financial issues. My husband was sick in November, December 2013. Cancer went into remission and returned May 2014. My husband was welcomed by the Lord September 2015. Just in case you needed to know the timeline really quick. You know, and I haven't showed you any pictures of my husband. If you don't follow me on Facebook, then you probably have never seen what he looks like. So throughout here, I'm going to just drop some photos on y'all of the 2 of us together, okay? Let me, like always, give you a little story, and I'm going to just conceal my eyes because I don't want to scare y'all too long. 2 things. Number 1, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my mirror. Number 2, if you came here for makeup tips, I don't have those, but I hope that you will leave with some type of insight, see things a little differently before you came. So, like I said, my husband got sick again in May 2014. It was a constant downward spiral. From that point on, he had not eaten for a year and a half when he had passed. One of the last visits with the doctor tried chemo, the doctor tried radiation, the doctor tried some new up-and-coming medication. And on this particular visit, because my husband was not holding anything down, everything was, he put in his mouth would come out through his G-tube. It was just that, it was just that instant. There was no nourishment for his body. Everything he did was through an IV. He ate through an IV. That's how he got his nutrition. He didn't taste food anymore. That takes real discipline for anybody. So as my husband's health was declining, I realized somewhere about the 7-month, 8th-month mark that I was not helping, I was hindering. Somewhere along then, I had decided, maybe 9th month, okay? Somewhere along then, I had decided I needed to do better with how I was treating him to help him get better. I need to be, you know, figuring out how to help him. Okay? That went on, I don't know, until about July 2015. Like I was still sometimes very irritable, you know, sometimes very short and quick-tempered because I was extremely exhausted from all the care that I needed to provide my husband. Mind you, I was still taking care of my children. I was still mother. I was still maid. I was still chef. You know, so all of those things on top of caregiver, you know, nurse, financial provider, uplifter, encourager, supporter. You know what I'm saying? Outside of all that stuff, I still have my regular duties. Taxi, teacher-parent conferences. I was still tired, and sometimes I would definitely get irritable. Hands down, you ain't got to ask no questions about that. But I had moved to an entirely better place. As I continued to watch my husband decline, we went to the doctor. We went to the doctor, you know, to follow up on the medicines that he had given, oral medications. They didn't have it in any other form. And at that point, the doctor had sat us down. He said, I don't have any more options for you. I think you should consider going into hospice. This was probably about July 2015, so that you could have someone there to help you and then the remaining of your care would be quality. That is not what my husband wanted to hear. My husband was a believer, and I say to the nth degree. You couldn't tell him nothing would be different. All he would ever say was, God is going to heal me. Babe, God's going to heal me. So I would stand in agreement with what my husband wanted. That was what I would pray about. Those are the things that I would, try and encourage him as he encouraged himself and read his word and stayed diligent and showed what God's love looked like through human form. My husband, I realized, loved me like God would love me. Okay, minus a few things. Despite my mouth, despite my behavior, that man still loved me. But that's not what we're talking about. We were in the hospital even more so than before. Like I told you, we had already been in the hospital quite a lot. But now, his kidneys were shutting down and his, shit was happening. He started getting delirious because of his liver wasn't functioning really well. So he would start hallucinating that there was food everywhere and start, talking out the side of his neck. And if you would question it, he would get upset. So at the same time, I was overwhelmed and I was saddened by what I could see with my own two eyes. My husband was deteriorating in front of us. Hold on. Let me say this. We had started having conversations about our relationship. And one of the things he would always say is, babe, when I get better, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be the husband that you deserve. He would apologize. I know that I wasn't holding up my end of the bargain. Jesus. Oh. He would say things like, I'm going to go and get a regular job or find somewhere where I can be lucrative and help supply the needs of the home. I'm sorry that I've put you through this. I didn't realize, this would be the conversations that he would say, which would of course prompt me to apologize for my behavior, for being not the wife that he needed, not supporting him and uplifting him and pushing him to the great place that he wanted to be. It was me now apologizing for being disrespectful and not really, seeming like I wanted him to be there, and just verbally expressing our love. Because at this point, though my husband would want to have sex, we couldn't. But I'm going to tell y'all, I would be dressed up cute in my little nurse's outfit some nights, and come, help him and do what I could, when the kids wasn't around, visually be pleasing to him as much as I possibly could. So after the doctor had said that there was, nothing that he could do, I knew it was left to God, right? So at this point I said, well, God, it's just me and him. Really, it's just me and him and you. And I need to hear from you. We ain't gonna finish no makeup, I don't think. I'm gonna try, y'all. I'm gonna try. So I said I'm gonna fast. I'm gonna fast. I'm gonna do a vegan fast for the next 21 days because I needed to hear from the Lord. I fasted and prayed for 21 days. I made sure that my body was edified with the things of God. I read my scripture. I prayed. I was praying and reading my scripture anyway with Greg, but I even more so. Making sure I heard the word of God in my ears so that I would make sure, listening for his voice and just being still and being quiet and just doing what I needed to do, because number one, I needed to hear from him on how I was supposed to help Greg and what my next steps and my action should be. Lord, help me to help my husband. 21 days, I close out my fast. I thank the Lord. 22 days. Day number 22, I'm leaving the hospital. And I'm talking to God, like, okay, God. Now, you got to know the voice of God when you hear the voice of God. I don't know if y'all have ever heard his voice. However he comes. Sometimes it's through other people. Sometimes it's through signs. Sometimes it's through the small, still voice that you hear on your own. I heard him with my voice because I'm going to tell you, when I first got saved and I got baptized, God, I know his voice anywhere. First thing I ever heard him say was, I am your God. We ain't gonna make it through this makeup thing. This just got real, real. I am your God. Like the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac, the God of David. I am like the God of Abraham. I am your God. Y'all, if y'all believers and you know your word, you would understand what I am your God means. Okay? He is the great I am. He is the Alpha, the Omega. He is the beginning, the end. Oh God. Okay, so let's not. I don't want to preach, and I'm also drinking a little wine at the same time. But I'm walking out the hospital, and I hear God say to me, I am going to heal him, but on the other side. I didn't know what else to do. I mean, I had to do a get ready with me. I could have cleaned up, but I couldn't figure out how to have you hear me and stay with me. So we here crying with our makeup. Woo, Jesus. He said, I am going to heal him, but on the other side. I cried. I cried. Because I heard it by myself. You know, that's not something I wanted to share with my husband. My husband stood firm in believing that God was going to heal him on this side, on this earth, so that we could get it right, him and I. Now, I know this is hard. This is hard. I tried sharing it with his mother. I tried sharing that with his mom, which I know is hard. She had him her whole life, his whole life. Right? For at this time, for 43 years. She had him for 43 years. Okay? I just had him for the little time God let me have him. But what I had him for was purposeful for both of us. As time progresses, I tell his pastor, his friend who is the pastor, this. And he told me, you're already, this, I told him in July when I found out. He came to visit him. And he told, because he was asking how I was. And he told me, you're already grieving him, Talisa. You can't do that. And I thought to myself, how dare you tell me what I can't do? Do you know what I'm about to go through? And the only way that's going to change is if God says so. Because now, like I said, his liver is shutting down. His kidneys are shutting down. At this point, my husband is not speaking as much as he did. He hadn't lost all his vocal yet. He was still talking, but like I said, he was hallucinating. Fast forward, so that's July. August, he's home. We celebrate his birthday. He's still able to talk, but in a lot of pain. I want to say end of August. So then there was my birthday, also in August. But end of August, when his liver was really, really failing, they were saying that they would put another tube. He already had 2 tubes, a J tube and a G tube, okay? To put another tube, because his eyes had gotten really yellow, liver function going bad. And they said it was up to me. So it's me. There has been no one helping me make decisions. Barely even my husband. My husband would say, babe, I trust you and your choices. Do you know how hard it is to make decisions about someone else's life? For sure, my husband did not want a DNR, okay? If he had went into a coma, he wanted me to keep him on a machine for the rest of his life, okay? Until his heart stopped working or whatever. He did not want a DNR. So it was very hard to make decisions for someone else's life. If you don't know what a DNR is, it's do not resuscitate. If I die, don't bring me back. I'm sorry that this is going to be so long. This one particular day that I'm thinking of, his mother and his sister come to visit him in the hospital. I take a moment to go to the vending machine and the bathroom, you know, all that, just to take a breather from myself, because now he's not speaking. He's nodding. He's not speaking. He's on his way out. No words. He's like, like he isn't forming words, but wants to form words. He understood me just fine. He just wasn't expressing himself. When I come back, his mother and his sister are in the hallway. His mother is in full-on tears, and all I can think is, God, you took him already? Oh, God. So I look at them, and they say he's still in there. So then I go in. Before I go in, she says to me, no. I go in. His sister is who's outside, bawling her eyes out. I go in. His mother has tears in his eyes. He's looking at his mother. He looks at me and starts, his eyes get watery. I smile at him and say no, because I could feel it in the room what had just transpired. What she said to me is that my husband, Greg, said to her, I want to go home to be with my father. She asked him, your father, your dad? You want to go? Because his dad had passed away a month before. And he was like, no, my father in heaven. And rightfully so. She wasn't prepared, even though I tried to tell her. I tried to, but sometimes what's for you, what God tells you isn't for anybody else, right? So, full on tears. And so after she said it, he looked at me with tears in his eyes. I smiled, shook my head, got up, gave him a kiss. I gave him a kiss and said, babe, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to cry. You don't have to be worried. It's fine. That same very day, because the hospital was like, we have to put him in hospice. There's nothing else we can do, because I was not putting the tubes in, because I felt that was just too much more. I want you to know, when I said that, every doctor came in and said, you did the best thing. You're making the right decision. Like, it was like I needed reassurance. I'm saying, don't prolong this any long. Don't put another tube in my husband for him to be miserable. For all of us to be miserable. So I put him on hospice. Because they said, oh, it's gonna, it'll be soon. It'll be within the next month. So I put him on hospice. The lady said, well, we'll get the stuff home. I said, give me a day. I need to make provisions for my husband, because I don't know, y'all know black people in poverty situations, they normally have that hospital bed sitting in the living room. I'll be damned if that hospital bed be in the living room and every time you open the door that's what you see, and he be uncomfortable. Absolutely not. I took all of my furniture out of our bedroom and made that his room as a hospital room where people could visit, with a chair where it was comfortable and people weren't just staring at him, where he could have the things that he would normally like next to him. Gospel music, his Bible, the TV, whatever it is that he wanted, it was there and readily available to him. Ooh, child. Okay, so my mom helped me get the room in order, drop the bed, I end up sleeping in the room with Kingston. Royals in college at the time, I only had a 2-bedroom. We lived in an apartment. Royal's away at college. I am in the room sleeping in a bunk bed with Kingston. Okay, he's on the top, I'm on the bottom. His brother, that very next week, so this had to be the beginning of September that he came home. I'm going to say 7 days, so it'd be like September 2nd. September 1st, September 2nd. I can look at a calendar, but it's too matter of fact. His brother was on vacation the next week and said, okay, sis, I'm going to come and I'm going to stay over there with you. I'm going to help you. I was grateful to have him there, because now I knew what time it was. Didn't know when, but I knew what time it was. I took off from work. There's some stuff that went on between me and my mother-in-law. There was a lot of things that happened during this week that needed to happen. I'm going to say this. They give you a book, if you know anybody who's in hospice or ever cared for anyone, they give you a book. I better get back to working on my face. They give you a book, and they give you a book to show you what to expect. In the book, it talks about the different stages. Okay. My husband had an outburst. It's like there'll be moments when you think he's getting better because if he wasn't talking, all of a sudden he's gonna talk, and he did that. His breathing will slow down. I mean, it was just they gave us a lot of what to expect. So this particular night, his pulse had gotten really low. The LVN had told my brother-in-law, who was sleeping in the living room, which was next to my bedroom, it's time. Got really, really low. So he came in and got me. I went in. We sat there for about 5-10 minutes. I had to use the bathroom really, really bad. I got up, I left, I went to the bathroom. I came back. His blood pressure had gotten back to be normal. Oh, this looked kind of weird. It don't look like how I was planning for it to look in my mind. But we're going to go with it because this is what I have. And so we all just, then it was time to get up and get Kingston to school, etc. So, fine. The next day, this happens again. I have to go really bad. Let me stop. Before this, when it was just him and I said, Greg, you can't leave without saying goodbye to me. Also, during this time, I had told him that when he was ready to go, it was fine that me and Kingston and Royal and his son, Christopher, would be fine. That I told him that I would find a small church home that I could be, active in, because that was some things that we wanted to do. You know what I mean? And I just reassured him that if he leaves, we'll be fine, because a lot of times what they're waiting on is to make sure we're okay. And when it was brought up, he said it was. So, okay. September 9th at about 4:50 in the morning, my brother comes in and says, okay, sis, it's time. I go in, I sit down. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta pee. We in there 2 minutes. I go run to the bathroom to pee. When I come back in the room, my brother looks at me and he shakes his head. And he's like, he's gone. I said, no, he's not. The nurse and my brother-in-law looked at me like I had lost my mind. I sat in my seat. I said, he is not gone because he has to say goodbye to me first. Baby! I grabbed my husband's hand. I grabbed his hand and I said to him how much I loved him. The man started breathing again. His chest started rising and falling. The nurse is looking. My brother-in-law is looking. His chest literally had started rising and falling. I told him how much I loved him and that it was okay. And our favorite thing was give me a kiss and we pucker up. He didn't do it a lot, but he did it enough for me to see that he heard me. I kissed him on his lips, and that was the last breath he took. Oh, y'all, this is a lot. I'll be right back.
An hour later.
I'm sorry, y'all. I needed a bit of a breather. I was gonna be in the ugly cry. No matter how many times I tell that story or how long ago it was, I always it's super emotional because it comes right back to the place of me being on the side of his bed. I've grieved, I've healed, but that one thing, knowing that he remembered, to wait for me, always moves my soul. So, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Till death do us part. I'm going to wear my Fenty Beauty that I think it seems a little chalky to me, but I'm going to try it since we did Mary Kay last time. I have it in number 370. And maybe what I do wrong is that I don't shake it up. The thing says shake well before use. Since I'm not telling you my story to scare you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to deter you from getting married. I'm just giving you the other side of what people don't talk about. Like I said, I was only married 3 years, 9 months, and 2 days. And some people would be like, well, how do you know anything? God took me through with somebody who has been with for a long time, has been through. Like, all BS aside, he was like, I'm gonna speed this relationship up so you really can know what it feels like.
20 minutes later.
I didn't do some dark hair on y'all. When was the last time you seen me in some dark hair? It's been a long time, and I'm kind of looking like my mother. I just want you to understand that the possibility of, in for richer or for poor, you be poorer. In sickness and in health, one of y'all be real sick. Till death do you part. He died sooner than you expected. Like, I need you to be prepared for whatever battlefield you may come upon in your marriage. You know, a lot of times I hear people who are married and they talk about how much they're annoyed by their spouse and they not doing this and they not doing that, and I wish he could do this better, or she needs to do this better, that's why I'm cheating, or whatever. That's why I want to leave. I gingerly remind them that I had a love that's gone, that I did not appreciate it, that I did not find a way to motivate him into the things that I needed from him, that I was naggy and spiteful and hateful, and he is gone. God took him from me. Plain and simple. I didn't appreciate a gift God gave me, and though that was already in the plan, he took him from me. I no longer have my husband next to me for when I'm crying, when I'm going through stuff. Just to sit and listen, even if he didn't have a solution. That used to be a problem for me. Like, he doesn't have a solution, but I miss him just listening. I need you to think about that when you embark on your relationship, or if you're in a relationship. What would you miss if he was gone? Even in a divorce, what would you miss? Is it something that can't be fixed? Are you guys in such a bad place that you can't have a conversation about something and figure out how to fix it? I mean, I'm asking real life questions. What I know from my relationship, God placed that man with me for a reason. To show me what love looks like. Nobody can ever say to me, Talisa, I love you, and lie. I know what love looks like, what unconditional love looks like, what God's love looks like in the flesh. That man put up with some shit when it came to me, but he would probably say vice versa. I'm just saying, I like to be transparent. This gave you a serious glimpse as to part of why I'm so resilient, or why I try and be understanding. Or as somebody once told me, you always afford other people, space or room. You always on people's side trying to look, at the brighter side, or give them a reason or a possibility. But this is why. I may not afford that to myself, but I do afford that to other people. And this is why. Like, I'm this phenomenal woman. This was part of my story. This is part of who made me who I am. A lot of things I learned from this. Okay. Let me put my lipstick on and then show you the entire look. How you feel about that? I've been talking for a long time. Last time it was almost 30 minutes, like 29 minutes. This one I think has made the 30-minute mark. Maybe I could be fly if I had no cellulite. Big breasts and pockets real wide. Then maybe I could be so fly. And if I had a small waist, I'd make the boys go insane. Then maybe I could be so fly. I so want to thank you for joining me in this series. And I know you're feeling like, oh my God, no more Get Ready With Me's. Is this the end of the story? I have decided, thanks to our girl, Dr. Dermix, to do For Better or For Worse, which would normally come first. But this time I am going to compile everything, and we're going to really talk about some stuff. I may even talk about infidelity, so you're in luck. We're going to a part 4. If you haven't done so already, go ahead, click the red subscribe button to become a ray of sunshine, and the notification bell, because like peanut butter and jelly, they do go together, and you don't want to miss when I upload number 4. Hugs and kisses and lots of love. I'll see you on the next video.